All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So today we are going to be looking at the meme sector. Plenty to talk about. I'm going to start with PRTY for a number of reasons, right? But before we get into it, hey, I don't ask often, but if you could like and subscribe, that would be awesome. It does really good for YouTube and does make me a little happy, I'll be honest with you. So please and thank you. Nonetheless, what are we going to do today? Same thing we always do, right? We're going to talk about the daily and the weekly charts to see what's setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There's only one here, but we have support and resistance lines that I do manually draw. And then the MACD, RSI, and volume are our lower indicators. Again, 80% of the work really is up here, and then this down here is that cherry on top confirmation. So Party City, okay? Look, I'm not here to pretend that I've seen it all and know it all, okay? If you've watched my videos, sometimes I get things wrong, I'll call it out. Look, for real, I've never seen what happened here. Now, don't get me wrong, I have seen stocks that have been halted literally all day. It just happened to Veru not that long ago. They were meetings and I don't know how to describe it, right? But they were basically waiting for FDA to say yes or no, and it was literally an all-day meeting, and you cannot trade. It was halted. The thing is, though, the halt usually stops after hours, okay? And the fact that it went from halt to suspended is honestly pretty new to me. Okay, and obviously a lot of people are pissed off, and there's so much anger and all that, right? So Party City, look, all I can tell you is this. Obviously, there's nothing that happened today. Again, it was literally halted. I assumed after hours things were going to happen. If it stays suspended, I mean, that's kind of game over, right? That is what it is. And I'll be honest, I haven't really gone and looked in any of the news. So, hey, feel free to throw whatever you want into the chats or in the comments if you know a little more than I do that, right? But at this point, I'm assuming it's suspended until it says otherwise. But look, I'm going to keep this line right here. This is a really important number, okay? 45. Now, again, I only see 2 decimals, not 4. So just make sure you're looking at the 110 candle if whatever you're trading on has all 4 decimals, right? But Party City will not be worth any interest, let alone money, until it crosses 45 cents, in my non-financial advice opinion, okay? It needs to get above this candle before it's sincerely worth a consideration. Otherwise, you can see we've been going downhill until obviously the bad things happen. And honestly, like I would not have expected anything really good anyways to happen here, right? Obviously, meme stocks, any of these can kind of go wild with volumes and all that, right? But also, let's just talk about the volume, right? And look, the last time I made the video was down here, right? And I talked about the bottom feeder swing trade. That's a little tongue twister for me. But yeah, generally if a stock drops almost, more than 50%, 60%, there was one that dropped 70% today. I'm sure it's going to go, it's a common thing. It'll swing up like that. I sincerely hate that trade because it really is volatile. But yeah, I threw it out there and you can see it actually did happen, right? And there was a pretty nice chunk of money to be made on that if you did play it, right? That's not my game, but hey, you do you. Nonetheless, one more time, 45 cents is your magic number. And hey, I never talked about the volume because I got distracted, so my apologies. When you go from 50 million, literally, we only need to use this. When you go from 50 million to 50 million to 150 million, now you've 3x'd it, then you hold it, and then very quickly go back down to the 50 million. That's not good. Okay, even if these were green, I'm telling you, you can't drop that much volume that quickly. Never a good thing, okay? So really not too much more to say on Party. Again, for all I know, this is dead and we're never talking about or trading this again. If it comes back to life, I'm telling you, 45 cents is the money number. Everything else is not worth your interest. This is not financial advice. You do know that. Let's check out Bed Bath & Beyond. Last time I struggled so hard to say Bed Bath & Beyond because I kept saying Best Buy. So look, when we last watched this video, I basically said, look, roughly $5, roughly around this 100 moving average is going to be, a safe target. My $5 hit, I walked away. I was pretty happy. Was I necessarily sad that it went up almost to another dollar? No, I really wasn't, right? Because it was such a nice climb. There's absolutely no reason to get greedy with that, right? So, and look, obviously memes seem like they do their own thing and they seem like they have their own brain and their own life. The technical still kind of worked here. You see it, right? Bad things happen when you're under the 8 moving average. When things get really bad, I also say, wait till it breaks the 20, right? Rule number 1 is get over the 8. Sometimes things are so bad, wait for the 20, right? Nonetheless, it gets over the 8 and then it works its way to the 20 and then it works its way to the 50 and then it works its way to the 100, and then right around the 100, my guess was it's gonna get a little too high in RSI. This thing was at 72, not that high, I'll be honest. I thought it would have been a little bit higher, but yeah, I didn't think it was gonna break through, right? And you see that is what happened here. And look, if it did, obviously the trajectory would have now moved to the 200, and that's why we love these moving averages, and that's why we love technical analysis, right? But yeah, it did almost exactly what I expected, right? Hit around 5, definitely did a little better. I know I saw it go at least 550, and it was a 10% I missed. But hey, I'm telling you, there was no sad face on my side, right? So then a real hard fail, but definitely hasn't lost the 8 yet. But look, let's talk about what's happening, right? It's not really looking too fantastic. There were definitely moments where it seemed like what I obviously care about is doing better. Sorry for going over all the lines. I need to do better than the day before, right? This thing closed up here at 414. This one, obviously you see it here, closed at 391. That's not good, right? When this one broke, I needed good confirmation up here, not down here, right? Then this guy couldn't even get more than 50% of this thing back, right? So what I'm really seeing is a fail of the 100. It kind of seems like we've bounced on this 50 a little bit. I do like this golden cross a little bit, but again, I'm really not interested in this thing until we get over the 100. Well, and honestly, you can even, and we'll make a new line. We'll go ahead and put a line on this guy right here. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and delete this guy because that's a little old now. But see, we've lost. Yeah, but see, then we're coming down here. So yeah, I'm going to do that. And then do we have anything up here? Oh man, see, because look, if we get over this as well, look at all these red candles that really don't even have any sort of stop till there, right? So you would swing it from 520 roughly to just under 7. That's almost 50% right there, right? I'm obviously rounding, but going from 5 to 7 is roughly $2. That's close to 50%, right? 250 would have been a 5 to 7 break. So part of this is also kind of looking for the good safe moves, right? So just kind of keep that in mind. But right now, what are we doing? We're kind of dancing between the 100 and the 50. I'm glad we're at least on the higher side of it, but yeah, I'm a little worried we're going to start coming down this way, right? Because right now I see red over green. Again, it's like a traffic light, right? Red is bad, green is good. I'm glad that the green is over red here, right? But these two definitely aren't saying the same thing. So, I don't know how much it's worth. And again, just like we saw in Party, volume goes up, volume goes up, volume goes up, volume starts to drop. And when you go from 3 something to 1 something, you've just given up 66% of your volume right there, right? That's significant. It really is, right? So, yeah, nothing matters for me until we break the 100. Really, I think even waiting for this is the safer one. I'll go ahead and set an alert for this line. Again, an alert is not an immediate buy notice. It's definitely a, hey, come check it out, right? I would be very worried if this thing hits 349. Because if it hits 349, you're then kind of you're a lot closer to these than you want. And really the fall might come down here. So do not lose. And you know what? I'm just going to go ahead and draw that right there. Don't lose 351, 349. We're not looking for perfection, right? So this is what we're dancing in, right? Hopefully we break up here and go. Last thing we want to do is break down here and fall, right? So Yeah, definitely not feeling as good as I was last video. This is a decent weekly, okay? The week obviously closed here. We're actually still higher than we are. There's a whole mess of red right here on the weekly. We're getting closer to the 20. That's going up. That's going up. I just, again, when you go from 1 billion volume, okay, and again, there's still a couple days left, but there's not a lot of days left, right? There's only 2 days left. Like, if unless we double, and there's a lot of volume that needs to happen in the next 2 days, right? But when you go from 1 billion to maybe we'll hit 500, let's say we literally double it in the next 2 days, right? It's been 4 days of trading, so maybe this is only half. You're still losing 50% volume over the week, right? But hey, as long as we don't lose the numbers I just talked about and we don't come to that 3, we are actually looking good on the weekly, and maybe next week will pan out a little well. But yeah, I'm still a little worried day to day. Weekly actually still looks interesting, okay? And that just goes back to say, if it eventually breaks this, it could do good things, right? And we've seen a lot of charts that hit this, go down, and then just wildly go, right? So way more interested at 522 than honestly anything in between that. So Bed Bath and Beyond, I sincerely hope I never said Best Buy in any of that. AMC. Okay, AMC. Shit, hold on. Let me make sure that we show regular hour charts. Okay, so I'm going to go back. Let me look at Bed Bath and Beyond one more time. Let me make sure nothing silly happened with that. All right. Actually, it did hold a little better than 50%. I'm a little happier with that. I'll say that. That's cool. So that went up just a little bit. Sorry about that. I was not looking at regular hours. But overall, yes, nothing really changes too much on Bed Bath & Beyond. AMC. Ooh, excuse me. Okay, so look, what's happened here? Definitely a beautiful run. Gets to the 50, definitely breaks it, but not good confirmation by any means, right? It basically loses roughly 50% candle, right? I would have liked it to close here at least, not open here and drop all the way down. So by no means do I think we've captured the 50. What I now really care about is what happens down here, right? So there's a couple things that could save it. Maybe this line, maybe it'll actually bounce on this line and go up. Maybe it'll come down, bounce on the 8 and go up, right? If it loses the 8, that could be really bad. And look, today's sell-off was actually higher than any of the last days buying, okay? So that's a little bit scary to see actually, right? So obviously still more buying than selling over the last number of days. That's, these two kind of offset each other. But today, a lot of people sold, and today more people sold than anyone bought on any of the last couple days, right? So that does kind of mean something for sure. But I think kind of the same thing I said on Bed Bath & Beyond. I really wouldn't touch this thing until we broke the 100. Right? Because I can barely consider this break of the 50 anything, right? I kind of think we're coming down here. I would rather just skip this 50, skip the 100, and kind of come in right here, right? That seems a little bit nicer. I'm going to go ahead and create an alert right there if it happens. Let me zoom out just a little bit. So what happens here? Really, this is actually the safer line. There's a lot of distance between 813 and where we're at now, but yeah, nothing too spectacular really happens after that. Let me see what the weekly looks like here. Okay, interesting weekly. Okay, first and foremost, this is the first week that we're actually over the 8, right? So what I like to see are a number of weeks over the 8, because if your weekly looks good, that means your dailies are going to be awesome, right? Obviously, if your monthly looks good, your weeklies are going to be good and your daily are going to be great, right? So the more you zoom out, the better you can attack zoomed in, right? But yeah, weekly, look, this is the first week over the 8. There's definitely still 2 days left, right? So hopefully it doesn't drop in the next couple days. But yeah, as long as it stays over the 8, that'll at least make me a little hopeful going into next week. But again, I think these next couple days just seem a little shaky for sure, so nothing too spectacular here. So someone wanted me to add this APE. So I sincerely don't know the connection with AMC. Obviously, I know the apes, right? That's the meme thing. But yeah, somehow this is tied to AMC. Clearly, this has dropped a lot, right? And, this would have been nice to ride, that's for sure, right? But it goes to say when there are a bunch of reds in a row, it quickly turns to greens, right? And look, where we sit right now, there are actually a number of reds right here, right? So there could be a good ride up. The only problem is, look, I know I see a number of days over the 8, right? So that's obviously a good thing. And hey, it's over the 8, the 20, and the 50, right? Those are good things. I think what's happening though is a number of things. The RSI, wow, RSI wasn't even that high. It looked like a lot higher than it was just based on the thing. Wow, why did you drop so much? Interesting. Oh man, yeah, I don't have too many good things to say here. Look, in a lot of ways, as long as it's over the 8, technically this thing is good. All right. I hate that we lost more than 50% of yesterday, and just as a day-to-day thing, that's not good. You at least want to hold 50%. Obviously, you'd love to, go higher or whatnot, right? But don't do worse than half. Okay, general rule. I'm glad we didn't at least take the whole thing, right? But yeah, we're definitely over the 8. We've been over the 8 for a bit. Where's this? Let me draw this line. Okay, okay, so definitely over the 8, but this is a resistance, and it failed that resistance. That's really what drove a lot of this. Let me zoom out just a little bit more. Man, there's very little info here, right? Which in a lot of ways is good if you can break the little info, right? I'm going to put it on the top here. And then that's pretty much right there. All right, yeah, so that's actually what happened. So you have a monster gap up trying to break the 50. Is actually able to ride parallel with it and kind of go bounce off that 50, right? Then it comes to this resistance and clearly fails. If it bounces on the 8 and can go back up, that would be cool. I'll say this. If it goes over that 174, that could pique my interest, right? Until then, it kind of seems like, really, it seems like it might even come back down to the 50, right? Because it bounced once off the 50. Hey, maybe it'll be able to bounce off the 20 instead of the 50. If not, yeah, maybe. I think one of these two is probably going to end up hopefully catching it. If not, look, if you lose this, I'll draw the line right there, but basically it's the 50. If you lose the 50 and you lose this, you're very quickly coming to roughly down here. Okay, so there's a lot of reason to believe it'll lose almost 50%, but this 50 moving average and this 120 line are gonna be key. I would hit eject if this happened right here, right? But maybe you'll bounce on the 50. Hopefully you'd bounce on the 20, really, right? Because bounce on the 50 here, bounce on the 20 here. That would be really cool. And then hopefully the bounce takes you over that 174. Because again, that RSI is really low. I thought this thing was in the 80s, and that's why it was cooling down. It didn't even crack 70. So yeah, a good man, if it bounced off the 8 and went up, that would obviously be even better because you'd lose less money, and it really doesn't need to cool down that much. So, but I'll be honest with you, I don't see a lot of people talking about this one. So, maybe I'm just out of it, right? But APE. This is an interesting daily chart though, but yeah, a lot of it is this resistance right there. And then obviously you see it, right? The 100 just started. This is obviously new. So what do we have on the weekly? Okay, cool. So you see a nice break of the 8, not good confirmation. Obviously not good confirmation, but then it kind of starts curving again. And I mean, clearly, if we can break this, right, there's a lot of this is pretty much, and you can see the 20 is almost in the middle, almost at the 50% of this, right? But yeah, the next line I would actually draw based on the weekly would be this 218 right here. I'll actually go ahead and draw it. There's not that much we have here, so I'll put that right there. That's pretty much everything I have for APE here. Interesting chart. Again, I'd care a lot more over 174. GNUS, this thing did really well. It did really well, and it continued really well, right? Red, 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 turned into green, 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 right? And you draw your lines on the green ones in between, and yeah, if it breaks it, it's great. This thing went as close to the 200 as it could, did a little bit of a fail. It kind of looks like it actually was able to bounce on this, which is great. Are we at 50%? Yeah, we're definitely at 50%. 50% of this guy and way more than 50% of this guy. So hopefully the fact that this seems like it's curving back up, and it actually seems like volume is kind of coming back, This might be the best one so far. Look, I just want to at least flash a couple things because I know a lot of the meme people, if you're still on this, you might not look at the indexes. Look, a lot of the runs that they were doing was at a time when Dow Jones was doing well, when S&P 500 was doing well, and then when NASDAQ was doing well, right? Oops, sorry, comp. Okay, NASDAQ composite. And then if you saw, they all pretty much had a red on today, right? So as much as the memes seem like they live in their own world, they're definitely gonna be affected by how the markets play too, right? So don't ignore the markets. But yeah, this one actually looks like the best so far. Okay, so look, this is a great candle that broke two moving averages. This is not good confirmation, but it's actually not a horrible candle. We're still above both lines. We're well above 50%. And this is a doji, so technically dojis don't count, and it's the week after that follows. If this thing breaks this, there's a real good reason to believe it could shoot up right there because that's looking real good, that's looking real good, and all this thing is missing is volume. So, interesting weekly, and definitely not a bad weekly. It goes back to saying this is kind of the best one on the chart, but really, I definitely see how the markets play out and then trade accordingly for sure. Oh, Affirm, nice. I took my eyes off this one. I'll be real honest, but this one killed it. Beautiful. Red, 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 green, green, green. Able to just destroy that line and then, did that as well, right? And you can see this is also red, 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 right? So that helped with that continuation right there. Damn, I'm actually a little sad I missed this. This was a pretty easy 30% right there for sure, right? Roughly speaking, 10 to 13. So nice. Very, very nice, actually. Again, you can see it. RSI is definitely starting to cool down a little bit. Looks like green's going to drop under. This is still definitely in the positive, right? But when these two look that different, it bothers me a little bit for sure. So I can definitely see this coming back to the 50 right here. The question just will be, is it going to bounce on the 50 or is it quickly going to drop to, hopefully the 8, right? Or shit, or maybe worse, right? So very good run. Definitely looks like it is cooling down though. Good weekly though. Kind of the same thing I said in the last one, right? Real nice candle. Not good confirmation by any means, and definitely dojis just don't count, right? But very happy we're on this high side of the candle. Very happy we're well over 50%, and very happy we're over the 8, right? So a bunch of good things to be said here for sure. Just day to day, not quite yet. And then last on the list, again, this one's just been moving really funny, right? So, yeah, look at this thing, right? It wants to break an important line, doesn't give us great confirmation, okay? Wants to break two moving averages in a single day, does not give us good confirmation. This thing is dying to make a good run for sure, and it looks like an Indrani line. Sorry about that. But nothing will matter until we break this 20 with confidence. And it goes back to what I said in the beginning, right? Rule number 1 is get over the 8, but when things are so bad, we don't even really care until it gets over the 20, right? And look, we've at least, obviously this is a lot of pain, right? But we've at least made a run to the 50 not long ago. So yeah, if we can get a good break of this, it'll shoot to this. It should at least pretty easily. Look at all that red, right? And then look at all that red behind that even. So this definitely sucks, but there's oh man, it's hungry. You just got to be patient. I would not enter this until it broke that 9 cent number, but there's a lot of movement to make here for sure, right? 9 to 15 is a lot of percentage actually, right? So just keep that in mind. That is the last one on the list. Hey, I hope you are learning. I know memes seem like they're in their own world, but yeah, technical analysis can help you. It actually really can. So hope you're learning.